Well, in regard to maximum capacity, the title, the students get the total credit for that. Like young artists want to do, they wanted to just really push the boundaries. And so just through a series of brainstorming sessions, they came up with the idea of maximum capacity, of like how many people could they stuff into the space that they had planned to use. The overall project, though, really started a year and a half ago. Joan C. Edwards created a fund for the College of Arts and Media faculty to tap into, to bring guests such as Craig to work with our students within their classes. Craig and I have known each other, I think, since like the late 90s. And it's great that he's also from West Virginia. His kind of origin story that would really resonate with the students, and just his reputation as a mentor was is well established. We kind of created a structure for Craig's distinguished professor in the arts visit to Marshall to be two-part, to come in January early in the semester and then return at the end of the semester to touch base with the students about how his feedback had played out and the work that they'd created in that interval.
Craig, once you were on board, what was your mission for this exhibition?
I had never been invited to do anything in my home state of West Virginia. That was really meaningful for me, and I was happy to say yes. I like having exhibition, like a group collaborative exhibition project, and where it's not just organizing the exhibition, but actually curating it. Because I feel like what that does for young artists, they have to think of their own work. So they think of themselves and how are they going to improve themselves. But they also have to work as a team, and they have to figure out, how can I support my peers, and what skills do my peers have that I don't have, and what can I contribute that maybe they can't as much. And I won't get on my soapbox too high, but I think that artists are still, they have to take care of themselves, their own careers, their own exhibition opportunities. So I like planting the seed, to these young artists, that maybe the best shows they'll be in for a while are the ones that they actually organize themselves. It may take a minute for the gallery world or the museum world or the curators of the world, to tune in and just to see them on their radar. Due to the pandemic, we had an iteration of the show back in Atlanta at an art space that I have at my studio called The End. And that was part one, minimum capacity.
Well, I just put up the minimum capacity exhibition that Craig had mentioned, that the students really got kind of a threefer out of the project because they had this exhibition in Atlanta that Craig installed in a project space that he runs in his studio. So he's carved out this space. And so what you're seeing are the pages of the students' zine, and a zine is a little magazine. And so when they had to regroup in April, decided to put their concepts into, basically the show would be the little magazine, and they'd exhibit their work in this publication. So they worked that up. And then it was Craig's idea for those pages to be printed out. We just emailed them to one of the shops in Atlanta, and he picked them up and then installed them in his space. So the students have an out-of-state exhibition at the End project space, which you're seeing here. And so Craig beautifully installed these pieces, and we did a little virtual reception in May. So that was kind of like part one. The students called this their prequel. So minimum capacity was their reformation of maximum capacity. And we knew we were going to have a show in the fall. Like we said, we'll do something, we'll find a space, They were just so thrilled and honored when the gallery committee of the School of Art Design invited the students to take over the beautiful Carroll Gallery at the Visual Arts Center. And so that's the show, Maximum Capacity, that the germ of their ideas is in all of these work. So what you're seeing are kind of their kind of thumbnail views of what they're going to do in the show that is now up at the Carroll Gallery.
So Sandra, you were just talking about the fact that the exhibition hit a point in the spring where the students needed to rethink the ideas that they were going to be working with for exhibiting their work because of COVID-19. And so that clearly is a major setback and challenge. And I'm wondering if there were any other challenges that happened during the organizing of the exhibition that were memorable.
Oh, it's just like, I think if education succeeds, that we've prepared students for the unknown and to kind of work in the face of uncertainty and to handle complex situations. And they had all of that. If they just had to keep rethinking, even from the very beginning, like we didn't have a space. We thought, but it was always kind of like, having to stay in touch with one another. Like, we could do that. Is that what we're going to do? And kind of keeping everybody more or less, aware that moving online in April was really, I guess in March and April was really, kind of the huge shift that the students had to make. It's just a process of kind of coming to terms and being creative individuals and saying, well, what can we do? So.
Yeah, you did. And Craig, you've been working with these students for much longer than originally planned. I'm wondering, as a group of individuals, if there are any characteristics that stick out for you.
Well, I think that's a really good question. First of all, they're a terrific group. So everything from my end, it was really easy to work with everybody. Like, it was really a fantastic group, and that includes Sandra, and that includes you and the rest of the Marshall University team. Like, it was really easy at every point. So that's not always the case. So I think it says something very positive about your program, that all of this just sort of went so well and so smoothly. And I want to just repeat what Sandra had said. Absolutely, as artists, you're always prepared, as she said, for uncertainty. And there's an expression I hear used around my students a lot, which is you got to make a way out of no way. So sometimes when it looks like there's no way, and then I mean that in a small way, like where we're going to have our exhibition space, but in a crow's eye view way of like, how am I going to have a career? How am I going to make this happen? And you got to make a way. And so that was the quality, that I saw in the students, was they're willing to sort of like carve a path, even where no path existed. But at every point, they've been terrific. And if there was, a quality, I don't know if it's a West Virginia quality or a Marshall quality or just these students, but there was a blend of being hardworking and humble. But I want to also say, like, individually, there's some really talented people, and there's some terrific work.
And one last question. This is for either of you or both. What is one thing that you would take away from this experience into future endeavors?
I think it's a lesson that I'm continually relearning and work with aspiring artists. And it's just simply give the support and get out of the way. Let them get on with it. So, and they really did.
Yeah. I would reiterate that 100%. Yeah, we're in a, this exhibition project started before the pandemic. It culminated during the pandemic, and it seems unstoppable. It's like nothing was going to stop this group. So that's the takeaway. Like, when things get crazy and your culture seems like it's shifting and maybe partially collapsing all around you, you can still do it. You can still do, the exhibition. You can still make your work. You're still a creative person.
Jamie, I just want to do a call out to two of the students who did all the graphic work. So Jonathan Williamson and Savannah Julian, in addition to having work in the show as equal members of the Maximum Capacity Artist Group, they also designed the zine, and they've done Instagram, Facebook posters, postcards, and all of that. So, they were very passionate about representing their colleagues professionally and kind of having that experience as well. And, and Craig, when he was here in January, he met with each of the students one-on-one for an initial touch point, about 10 minutes. And every student who met with Craig came away with a note card that Craig had written out of artist references, exhibitions to follow up, different ideas about materials, just a trail of crumbs to follow in that interval. And in mid-September, he met with each of them again individually for a 45-minute online kind of studio visit to kind of see where their work was. And really, a lot of the students said that Craig gave a lot of advice. He talked a lot about graduate programs and graduate schools and kind of next steps and so forth. It seems it's something that is going to be very helpful to the students. So Craig, thank you for, your shared effort to steward the project and to kind of always be egging everybody on to kind of really go to the max on this. So yeah. And as a promo for the show, this is the virtual reception, right? The show is amazing, and you can go see it in person if you're here in Huntington. Jamie will tell you how, but every one of those pieces is an amazing kind of, has an amazing story of the stages it went through, how it came to be, how they helped each other. And so I really hope that there will be folks come in to see the works in person, because it's a very ambitious exhibition and the works are diverse and beautiful.